Welcome back, Lincoln currency. To understand the 1982 Lincoln cent, we need to first appreciate its design and symbolism. The Lincoln cent, of course, has a long-standing history dating back to 1909, when it was introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse side of the coin features the profile of Lincoln himself, designed by the famed sculptor Victor David Brenner. This iconic design has been a constant throughout the 20th century and beyond, and the 1982 cent carries that same distinguished portrait, showing Lincoln facing right, with inscriptions of "In God We Trust" along the top edge, "Liberty" to his left, and the date, 1982, to his right. There is also the mint mark. This can be either a D for the Denver Mint or no mint mark for the Philadelphia Mint, indicating where the coin was produced. The reverse design of the 1982 cent, at that time, still featured the familiar wheat ears, part of the wheat penny design, though it's important to note that 1982 was a transitional year for the Lincoln cent. In that year, the U.S. Mint made a significant change in the coin's composition due to rising copper prices. Prior to 1982, Lincoln cents were made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc. In 1982, however, the mint transitioned to a primarily zinc composition, with a thin copper plating, resulting in a 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper coin. This change was largely a cost-saving measure but created an unusual scenario. Some 1982 pennies are copper, some are zinc, and collectors have since identified both compositions, as well as varieties in weight, making 1982 an especially fascinating year for the Lincoln cent. The weight difference between these versions is subtle but critical for collectors. The copper pennies weigh approximately 3.11 grams, consistent with previous copper cents, while the new zinc pennies weigh roughly 2.5 grams. This variation is something that coin enthusiasts measure carefully, and it has contributed to the coin's intrigue. Weighing a 1982 penny can reveal its composition, and certain copper pennies from that year are considered more desirable because they were minted in limited numbers, creating what collectors call key date coins. In fact, the 1982 D copper penny, struck in Denver, is one of the most sought-after examples among collectors. It's rare enough that specimens in pristine condition, such as uncirculated or proof examples, can fetch significant premiums compared to regular zinc cents. But the story of the 1982 Lincoln cent doesn't end with composition alone. Collectors are also fascinated by mint errors and unusual varieties. For instance, in that year, some coins were struck with variations in die placement, doubled dies, off-center strikes, or even coins with missing or weak mint marks. Each of these anomalies can increase a coin's value dramatically, particularly when the error is extreme or rare. A minor die rotation or doubling might make a coin worth a few $100s to a collector, while more pronounced errors, especially in copper pennies, can make coins far more valuable, fueling rumors of extreme valuations. Now, let's explore why some have claimed that a 1982 penny could be worth as much as $99 million. While this figure is almost certainly a hyperbolic headline, it is rooted in a combination of factors: rarity, composition, condition, and collector demand. The idea is that a copper 1982 D penny in flawless, mint-state condition, with a unique error, could become the centerpiece of a high-end collection and theoretically achieve astronomical auction results. Numismatics has examples of coins that, due to their provenance, historical significance, and extreme rarity, have sold for tens of millions of dollars. The 1933 Double Eagle gold coin, for instance, famously sold for over $18 million, but such cases are the exception rather than the rule. In the case of the 1982 Lincoln cent, the $99 million figure is more symbolic, representing the peak theoretical value a collector might dream of if all favorable conditions aligned perfectly. Looking closer at the symbolism of the coin, the Lincoln cent remains a celebration of Abraham Lincoln's legacy, emblematic of unity, leadership, and enduring national ideals. The wheat ears on the reverse, used until 1958 in the original wheat penny design and carried forward symbolically in some commemorative editions, represent prosperity and the agricultural heritage of the United States. Even in the modern copper-plated zinc pennies of 1982, this symbolism resonates, connecting contemporary collectors with the rich history of the nation. Each tiny detail on the coin, from Lincoln's portrait to the inscriptions and mint mark, tells a story of artistry, economy, and historical continuity. The market for 1982 pennies today is fascinating because it straddles both the numismatic and speculative worlds. Ordinary circulated zinc pennies from that year are extremely common and typically worth face value or slightly above, depending on condition. However, the copper variants, particularly the 1982D, command a premium. Uncirculated copper pennies can sell for several $100s, and coins with exceptional eye appeal or error attributes can sell for thousands. Online marketplaces, coin auctions, and collector forums often feature lively discussions about the relative rarity of copper 1982D pennies, their grading, and the subtle differences between compositions. Numismatists also point out that the transition year of 1982 created opportunities for subtle misclassifications. A coin incorrectly assumed to be zinc when it is copper, or vice versa, can result in missed opportunities for collectors. Accurate identification often requires precise weighing, magnification to check edge coloration, and sometimes even chemical testing in extreme cases. This level of scrutiny adds to the fascination, as collectors enjoy the detective work involved in confirming the coin's true composition and provenance. Additionally, the coin's value is influenced by grading, a system used by professional numismatic organizations to assess a coin's condition on a scale from 1 to 70. Coins graded higher are in better condition, with more lustrous surfaces, sharper details, and fewer marks. A 1982 copper penny in MS65. As we continue exploring the 1982 Lincoln cent, it's essential to understand that coins are not just pieces of metal. They are products of a complex manufacturing process, and this process sometimes leads to unexpected anomalies that make certain specimens extremely valuable. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1982 penny lies in its die varieties and mint errors. A die is the engraved stamp used to strike the coin, and subtle differences in dies can produce coins with doubled images, misaligned features, or other unique characteristics. For example, some 1982 pennies exhibit doubled dies on the obverse, meaning Lincoln's face, the date, or the inscriptions appear to have a shadowed duplication. These doubled die pennies are highly sought after by collectors because they are rare and visually striking, creating a natural intrigue and collectible appeal. The 1982D double die obverse, in particular, has drawn significant attention, as only a limited number were struck, and finding one in high-grade condition is exceedingly rare. Another type of error that collectors treasure is the off-center strike. This occurs when a coin is not properly aligned in the press, and part of the design is missing from one side while extra blank planchet shows on the other. In 1982, the transitional nature of the coin's composition sometimes made off-center strikes more pronounced, particularly on copper pennies. Collectors often prize these coins because each one is visually unique. No two off-center pennies are exactly the same. Beyond their aesthetic appeal, off-center coins are historically significant, representing a moment in time when a mechanical process produced a small but permanent deviation from perfection. Depending on the degree of off-center strike and the coin's composition, an off-center 1982 penny can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. Another fascinating error category is the double or missing mint mark. Some 1982 pennies from the Denver Mint accidentally received a doubled D mint mark, while a few specimens show no mint mark where one should exist. These mint mark anomalies are extremely rare and immediately attract collector attention. Even today, coin experts comb through large quantities of 1982D pennies in search of these irregularities, and when one is found in pristine condition, it can become the centerpiece of a high-end collection. Now, let's delve deeper into the market dynamics surrounding the 1982 penny. While ordinary circulated zinc pennies are common and generally only worth their face value, the copper 1982 pennies, particularly the 1982D, are far less common and therefore more desirable. The U.S. Mint produced millions of pennies in 1982, but estimates suggest that only a fraction were copper pennies struck at the Denver Mint. This scarcity drives collector interest, and prices for uncirculated copper 1982D pennies can range from hundreds to over $1,000, depending on condition and certification. For extremely high-grade coins, especially those with unique die varieties or errors, prices can escalate even further, feeding the legend that a single 1982 penny could theoretically be worth astronomical sums, such as the often cited $99 million figure. While no such sale has ever occurred, the myth underscores the coin's allure among numismatists. Grading plays a crucial role in determining a coin's value. Professional coin grading services such as PCGS and NGC use a 70-point scale, with MS70 representing a perfect, flawless coin. For 1982 pennies, grading can dramatically impact price. A copper 1982D graded MS65 might sell for several $100s, but a coin graded MS68 or higher can reach thousands. Collectors pay close attention to luster, strike quality, and surface preservation, knowing that even minute imperfections can reduce a coin's market value. It is also important to note that as we continue our journey into the fascinating world of the 1982 Lincoln cent, it's essential to focus more closely on the technical distinctions between copper and zinc coins. This is one of the most critical aspects for collectors, because it determines not only rarity but also potential value. In 1982, the U.S. Mint struck pennies in both compositions: the older copper version, which retained the traditional 95% copper, and the new zinc version, composed of 97.5% zinc with a 2.5% copper plating. To the untrained eye, both coins appear almost identical, yet experienced numismatists know that subtle differences in weight, color, and texture reveal their true identity. The weight test is one of the most reliable ways to differentiate copper from zinc. A pure copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams, while the zinc penny weighs approximately 2.5 grams. Collectors often use precise digital scales, measuring to the hundredth of a gram, to ensure accuracy. Even slight variations in weight can indicate whether a coin is copper or zinc, especially when combined with other tests such as visual inspection or magnetism, though neither copper nor zinc is strongly magnetic, making the latter test less definitive. The weight difference might seem small, but when applied systematically across hundreds of coins, it can reveal rare copper pennies lurking in circulated batches. Color is another key identifier. Copper coins display a rich, reddish hue, sometimes described as cherry red, when in mint state, whereas zinc pennies often look paler or slightly yellowish. Over time, circulation can affect coloration. Copper pennies develop a warm, brown patina, while zinc pennies may darken unevenly. Collectors often examine coins under bright light or magnification to identify subtle cues. Professional grading services also consider color, luster, and strike when assessing 1982 pennies, and coins with exceptional coloration or red copper surfaces can command premiums in the market. Beyond weight and color, examining the edges and rim thickness can also provide clues. Copper pennies tend to feel slightly denser and sturdier in hand, and their edges may have a subtly different tactile quality than zinc coins. Experienced collectors often combine multiple methods: weight, color, edge inspection, and even sound when dropped lightly on a hard surface, to confirm a coin's composition. This investigative approach elevates collecting from a hobby into a meticulous, almost scientific pursuit, offering enthusiasts both intellectual satisfaction and potential financial reward. Let's turn to the grading and certification process, which is critical for establishing a coin's market value. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with higher numbers indicating better condition. For 1982 pennies, professional grading by services such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, can dramatically increase market value. An uncirculated copper 1982 degraded MS65 might sell for several $100s, while the same coin in MS68 or higher could reach several $1,000s. Collectors often seek coins with exceptional luster, sharp strike, and minimal surface imperfections, understanding that minor flaws can reduce value even in otherwise rare specimens. Certification adds credibility and market confidence, particularly when coins are being sold or auctioned to international buyers. Error coins further enhance market intrigue. Among the most prized are doubled dies, off-center strikes, and missing or doubled mint marks. Doubled die errors occur when the coin's design is accidentally stamped twice with slight misalignment, creating the appearance of a shadow or duplication in the inscriptions or Lincoln's portrait. Off-center strikes occur when the coin planchet is misaligned in the press, leaving part of the design missing while showing a blank border. Missing or doubled mint marks occur when the minting process malfunctions. Each type of error is highly collectible, especially in copper pennies, and can increase a coin's value exponentially, depending on severity and rarity. Market behavior surrounding 1982 pennies is influenced by both scarcity and psychology. Collectors and investors are aware that the copper 1982 pennies are limited in number, which creates a natural premium over common zinc pennies. When a high-grade coin surfaces at auction, competition among collectors can drive prices higher. Some collectors even purchase large batches of circulated coins, carefully sorting them for copper specimens or rare errors. This practice has created stories of dramatic discoveries, where a single coin among thousands turns out to be highly valuable, echoing the excitement and suspense of treasure hunting. The $99 million figure often cited in connection with a 1982 penny is more symbolic than literal. It represents the peak theoretical value a coin could achieve if it combined extreme rarity, perfect condition, and a unique error or historical significance. While number 1982 penny has ever sold for this amount, the speculation fuels fascination, making the coin a topic of endless discussion among numismatists. Such hyperbolic valuations also underscore the psychological element of collecting, where rarity, provenance, and market hype can sometimes eclipse intrinsic material value. Historical context is equally important in understanding the 1982 penny. The early 1980s were marked by rising commodity prices, which prompted the U.S. Mint to transition from copper to zinc to reduce costs. This decision created the unusual situation of having two distinct compositions in the same year. Economists and collectors alike find this transition fascinating, as it illustrates how economic conditions influence coinage and, indirectly, the collector market. Continuing our deep dive into the 1982 Lincoln cent, let's explore a step-by-step approach to identifying valuable 1982 pennies. This is critical because many collectors and investors often overlook subtle differences that can dramatically impact a coin's worth. First, examine the date and mint mark. A 1982 penny can be a Philadelphia, no mint mark, or a Denver, DE mint. Among these, the Denver minted copper pennies are the rarest and most sought after. Next, determine the composition. As discussed previously, 1982 pennies could be either 95% copper or 97.5% zinc with copper plating. Weight is the most reliable method. Copper pennies weigh approximately 3.11 grams, while zinc pennies are roughly 2.5 grams. Using a precise digital scale, measure to the hundredth of a gram for accurate identification. The color is another telling feature. Copper coins retain a reddish hue, while zinc pennies often appear pale or yellowish. Over time, circulated copper pennies develop a warm, brown patina, and zinc coins may darken unevenly. Edge inspection is also helpful. Copper edges feel slightly denser, and subtle differences in rim thickness can provide additional confirmation. Finally, look for mint errors. Doubled dies, off-center strikes, and missing or doubled mint marks can exponentially increase a coin's value. Combining all these steps, collectors can accurately identify coins worth far more than face value, sometimes transforming ordinary pennies into prized collectibles. Now, let's dive into notable auction stories involving 1982 pennies. Over the years, several copper 1982 pennies in uncirculated condition have surfaced, often fetching hundreds or thousands of dollars. One particularly famous case involved a collector who purchased a large batch of circulated coins from a bank. Hidden among the ordinary zinc pennies was a pristine copper 1982 The coin was professionally graded MS-65 and subsequently sold at auction for several $100s, surprising the collector with an unexpectedly high return. Stories like this illustrate the thrill and unpredictability inherent in numismatics, and why enthusiasts continue to search through rolls, jars, and collections with hope and diligence. Another noteworthy auction involved the 1982 D copper penny with a doubled die error. This coin, with a distinct doubling on Lincoln's shoulder and the date, captured significant attention from high-end collectors. Certified and auctioned professionally, it sold for a price that far exceeded ordinary market expectations for a 1982 penny, demonstrating how rare errors can dramatically influence market value. These auction results feed speculation and legends about the $99 million valuation often cited in collector circles. While no penny has ever realistically reached that figure, the hype reflects the aspirational nature of rare coin collecting. Comparing the 1982 penny to other historically valuable coins also offers fascinating insights. For example, the 1933 Double Eagle gold coin, which sold. Continuing our exploration of the 1982 Lincoln cent, let's delve deeper into the grading nuances, which are absolutely critical for determining a coin's market value. Grading is both an art and a science, requiring careful observation of the coin's surfaces, strike quality, and luster. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with mint state, MS coins ranging from MS60 to MS70. MS60 coins are uncirculated but may have noticeable imperfections, while MS70 coins are perfect, flawless, and extremely rare. For 1982 pennies, especially the copper 1982D, professional grading can dramatically influence their value. Even a single point difference on the grading scale can translate into hundreds or thousands of dollars in price variation. When grading 1982 pennies, professionals focus on surface preservation, luster, and strike sharpness. Surface preservation refers to the absence of scratches, nicks, or corrosion. Luster refers to the coin's reflective quality, often described as original mint bloom, which can fade over time if the coin has been handled improperly. Strike sharpness examines how well the design elements, such as Lincoln's profile, the date, and inscriptions, are defined. High-grade coins exhibit crisp detail with minimal wear, while lower-grade coins show flattening or distortion. Understanding these nuances allows collectors to accurately assess value and make informed buying or selling decisions. Moving beyond grading, it's fascinating to examine famous 1982 penny collections around the world. Certain private collectors have amassed hundreds of 1982 pennies, meticulously sorted by composition, mint mark, and condition. Among these, some focus exclusively on copper 1982D pennies, creating trophy collections that showcase the rarest and highest graded specimens. These collections often become the center of auctions, exhibitions, and collector forums, generating buzz and setting market benchmarks. Stories of collectors traveling across states, visiting banks, and even sorting through decades-old coin jars. Continuing our in-depth exploration of the 1982 Lincoln cent, let's expand our perspective to the global market. While this coin is quintessentially American, collectors and investors from around the world have taken notice, especially regarding the copper 1982D variety. International numismatists recognize the transitional significance of the year 1982 and the rarity of certain era coins. In Europe, Asia, and Australia, 1982 pennies occasionally appear in collections, and high-grade copper specimens attract bids that rival U.S. market prices. This international interest demonstrates the universal appeal of rare coinage. Scarcity, historical significance, and aesthetic qualities resonate with collectors regardless of nationality. Next, we must address preservation and storage techniques, which are critical for maintaining or increasing a coin's value over time. Coins must be handled carefully, preferably with cotton gloves, to avoid oils and dirt from human skin. Storage and protective holders, such as mylar flips, acrylic. Continuing our comprehensive exploration of the 1982 Lincoln cent, it is crucial to place this coin within the historical context of the U.S. Mint in 1982. At that time, the United States was facing rising copper prices, inflationary pressures, and increased production costs for coinage. The Mint, responsible for producing billions of coins annually, made the strategic decision to transition from the traditional 95% copper composition to a primarily zinc coin with a thin copper plating. This decision was not taken lightly. It reflected the economic realities of the period and demonstrated the mint's adaptability in responding to material scarcity and cost pressures. The 1982 penny thus became a unique transitional artifact, straddling two distinct compositions, which today is a source of intrigue for collectors and historians alike. From a scientific perspective, analyzing copper versus zinc pennies involves examining metallurgical composition and physical properties. Copper pennies, as mentioned, as we continue our exploration of the 1982 Lincoln cent, it is fascinating to examine its international collector appeal. While the Lincoln cent is inherently an American coin, collectors worldwide are captivated by its transitional nature, copper-zinc variations, and minting errors. In Europe, Asia, and Australia, numismatists actively seek high-grade copper 1982 pennies for their collections. Auctions often see bids from international participants, demonstrating that the value and allure of rare coins transcend national boundaries. Global interest also drives market prices upward, as competition is no longer limited to domestic buyers. Coins once overlooked in circulation can gain attention from collectors thousands of miles away, increasing both visibility and demand. Extreme auction results for 1982 pennies further illustrate the coin's mystique. While common zinc pennies are continuing our comprehensive examination of the 1982 Lincoln cent, it is vital to explore extreme rarity case studies and anecdotal discoveries. Collectors often share stories of hidden treasures found in circulation, bank rolls, or inherited coin jars. One particularly notable anecdote involves a collector who acquired a bag of circulated pennies from a local bank. While sorting, they discovered a copper 1982 in exceptional condition with a subtle doubled die. When submitted for professional grading, it was certified MS-67 and later sold at auction for over $6,000. Another case involved a copper 1982 with an off-center strike that appeared nearly perfect despite a misaligned design. These stories highlight the thrill of discovery and the extraordinary value that can reside in a coin overlooked by the casual eye. Comparing the 1982 Lincoln cent to other high-value U.S. coins provides additional perspective on its significance. Coins like the 1913 Liberty Nickel, the 1933 Double Eagle Gold coin, and certain early 20th century silver dollars are globally recognized for their rarity and historical value. While these coins often contain precious metals and have documented rarity, the 1982 penny's appeal comes from transitional composition, subtle minting anomalies, and collector demand. Unlike gold or silver coins, which derive intrinsic value from metal content, the 1982 penny demonstrates how scarcity, historical significance, and era potential can create high perceived value. This comparison underscores the diversity in numismatics. Value can arise from both intrinsic material and unique historical circumstances. Professional coin certification and grading processes are essential for confirming rarity and market value. Grading services such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, evaluate coins on a 70-point scale, examining surface preservation, luster, strike quality, and color. Certified coins come with tamper-evident holders and detailed documentation, providing buyers confidence in authenticity and grade. For 1982 pennies, certification can dramatically increase market value, particularly for copper 1982 specimens or those with notable errors. Collectors often submit multiple coins for grading, strategically selecting the most pristine specimens to maximize auction potential. Advanced strategies for collectors and investors include a systematic approach to sourcing, identification, and market timing. Collectors often acquire bulk rolls of 1982 pennies, carefully sorting for copper specimens and inspecting for die anomalies or mint mark irregularities. Once identified, high-quality coins may be professionally graded and auctioned strategically, targeting periods of peak market activity or major numismatic shows. Investors also monitor market trends, online auction data, and grading reports to anticipate fluctuations in demand. This analytical approach blends hobbyist enjoyment with potential financial reward, transforming a simple coin into a tangible asset. Speculative market scenarios for the 1982 Lincoln cent further fuel fascination. Consider a hypothetical extreme, a copper 1982D with a dramatic double die, certified MS-70, with provenance linking it to a renowned collection. While such a coin may not currently exist, speculation suggests it could command 6 or even 7-figure sums in a competitive global market. Even without reaching these extreme valuations, the potential for high premiums motivates collectors to continue searching for rare specimens, maintaining active. As we reach the conclusion of our comprehensive exploration of the 1982 Lincoln cent, it is important to summarize market valuations and contextualize them within both historical and contemporary frameworks. Ordinary circulated zinc pennies from 1982 remain common and typically trade at or just above face value. In contrast, copper 1982 pennies, particularly those minted at Denver, 1982D, represent the most coveted subset, with uncirculated specimens often selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on grade. Coins with notable errors, including double dies, off-center strikes, or missing /repunched mint marks, can command premiums significantly higher, with exceptional examples reaching several $1,000s in auction settings. While the off-cited $99 million valuation is symbolic and largely aspirational, it serves to highlight the coin's potential under ideal rarity, condition, and provenance circumstances. Comparative analysis with other transitional coin years further illustrates the significance of 1982. Much like the 1943 copper cents, the 1969 double die Lincoln cents, or the 1955 double die, the 1982 Lincoln cent stands out as a coin reflecting both a shift in materials and a period of economic adaptation. While earlier rare coins often feature precious metals, the 1982 penny's value emerges from its historical context, metallurgical transition, and limited high-grade copper specimens. Collectors view it as a milestone year, marking a turning point in U.S. coinage history, and its dual composition adds a layer of analytical and educational appeal not present in single composition years. Anecdotal stories continue to highlight the thrill and unpredictability of coin collecting. One collector famously discovered a copper 1982D in a jar of decades-old coins